Today I fucked up by not accepting assistance at the sex shop. This happened a few years back, but it just came to mind. Anyway, so I'm 24 meters, a pretty private guy. My girlfriend, 25F, and I were just starting our relationship and wanting to get into exploring some kinks and testing our limits and such. It's also important to note that my GF is very tiny, and has been insecure about her size. So anyway, she tasks me with choosing our first props. I was honestly excited because of all the crazy things I'd seen on the internet, but I'd never done anything really beyond the norm before. So I get to the shop near my work and I walk in and I am immediately out of my zone. I've never been in a store like this and I had no idea the vast array of prophylactics, outfits, lubes and sex pills. Feeling overwhelmed, I went to the black latex mini skirts that I thought she'd look super sexy in. I grab a pair, and I grab a latex top and I get to the register. The cashier was very polite, which somehow made me more uncomfortable, and asked if I needed any help with anything once she looked at my items. Told her no, I'm fine. In a little bit of a hurry. I get home and before I go inside I decide to look at what I bought. So the top would have fit fine, but the mini skirt was folded in half for display and was probably a size 42 men's. Horrified that I'd have to go back to the store, I hid the skirt in the pocket behind my passenger seat and forgot about it. A few months later we're moving into a new place and I come up the stairs and she is crying. Hysterical. I have no idea what's wrong and she screams, "Why do you have a XXL prostitute skirt in your car?" Exclamation mark. I burst out laughing and explained the whole thing. She was very relieved that I do know have a thing for BBW prostitutes. Too long didn't read, didn't check the size before buying a latex mini sex skirt for my GF. She found it later and broke down thinking I had a fetish for XXL prostitutes. The sex shop worker is your friend. Many have tried a large portion of the inventory. They can guide you past the stinky, sticky, and non-functional to something that fits just right in size and experience. If you go as a couple it's less off-putting. Lesson learned. I think she knew they were complete opposite sizes, but I was so clearly being awkward and wanted to skate out of there. Lol. I've grown up since. You should have worn it for her. Sounds like something I would do. Glad it worked out okay. Today I fucked up by installing a bidet in my mother's bathroom. So I actually installed the bidet about 2 years ago, but it only came back to bite me in the ass, proverbially, today. A few years back my BF and I purchased one of those bidet attachments off of Amazon, and were delighted. So much in fact, that I bought one for my mom, and installed it for her when we visited. While she scoffed at the time, she admits it came quite in handy when COVID hit and toilet paper was scarce. A side note, these things are powerful. A fun thing to do when giving a tour of my place is to position the guest across from my toilet with a towel held up and crank that shit 10/10ths with the shock and awe. I feel like Tony Stark showing off the Jericho missiles. Also, the versions we have are not the deluxe versions with warm water. It is a brisk and refreshing way to wake up in the morning if you're expecting it, but a brutal and icy violation in one's most vulnerable spot for the uninitiated. Which brings us back to the incident. While I live a little over 1,200 miles away, Mama lives in the same town as my little sister, and in fact moved there to take up grandmotherly duties for my sister's two wee ones. Like today, the Knifelings were over at Nana's house for Christmas cookie baking and such, when my niece needed to use the facilities. Niece is a little over 2, and in the potty training stage. Sis didn't have the child's seat, so she instructed kiddo to balance carefully and left her to her business. I think you can guess what happened next. My sis and mom said they heard a shriek of utter terror and distress, and ran back to the bathroom to see what had happened. There's niece, huddled inconsolable and howling in the farthest possible corner from the toilet with the bidet at full blast. Too long didn't read, maybe she was curious about the buttons, maybe she just lost her balance. But because I installed a bidet in my mother's bathroom, I may have traumatized my toddler niece for life, and possibly set her potty training progress back by a few decades. My daughter had a friend over. He was 18 meters. Evidently he took an interest in the unexplained knobs next to the seat. Standing, facing the toilet, turned the knob on. Screams from the bathroom. He emerged covered in water. Nice. Pro tip, don't lean forward with your head between your knees to look at the spray nozzle when you turn the knob. Lost a contact that way. The person who left a toddler alone perched on a toilet is the one who messed up. Never take your eyes off a small child around water, ever. Other joy. Can't wait for summer. And for only 28 bucks. That's called a feature. LOL. It is funny how as soon as you get one you become a bidet salesperson. Today I fucked up by trying to compromise with my roommate. I, 24F, and my partner, 22F, have had ongoing issues with one of our roommates, 22F. One of the many issues is that roommate said she wasn't scared of dogs but lied to move in. She screamed and flailed her arms every time she say my dog for the first few months. He just barked and would jump up and run away due to fear. We have spent hours and hours working with her on this, but there was little to no improvement. About a week ago, he jumped on her and bit her. We saw the incident and no teeth made contact. She couldn't identify where the bite was, said it didn't hurt, said she didn't know if he actually made contact, then later changed her story. But we have a picture and there was no bite mark, which she said was because she washed it off in the shower. Despite the fact that this wasn't an actual bite, we offered to mitigate, including working directly with her on how to properly interact with dogs, which we've been doing the whole time, offering to pay a private in-home dog trainer, paying her rent portion for the rest of the lease so she can leave, and moving out ourselves. She refused all of them. Fast forward to today, we called a roommate meeting and asked her to bring her friend so she wouldn't feel ganged up on. There is another roommate who is on our side, plus everyone who has ever met our dog loves him. We wanted to find a compromise so we could all feel more comfortable in the house. The friend showed up and totally dominated the conversation and yelled at us for not taking responsibility for our aggressive dog. She told us they should have called the police after the bite and I just laughed. Needless to say, the conversation didn't end well. When we got home, roommate wanted to meet outside at a park during 30-degree Fahrenheit weather. We had an animal ordinance violation for a dog bite on our door. We called the officer, who came over to hear our side of the story. He met our dog and observed how he wasn't aggressive at all. The officer basically said our dog isn't dangerous and this incident wasn't a bite. He said we've been way more accommodating than needed and said he dismissed the violation. Roommate still hasn't come home. Too long didn't read. I had a meeting with my roommate to find a compromise and she called the cops. Get rid of her. This feels like a leopard ate my face moment. She got into a home, with dogs, that she is deathly afraid of and obviously has phobias about. She lied, in fact, to get into this home, with dogs she is very afraid of. In fact, she lied so much she got her friend to believe the dogs were the belligerent ones, not her. Why does she live there if she doesn't like dogs? Literally I have no idea why she is still here. We've asked her to leave and offered to buy her out and she refuses. I cannot fathom the logic of lying to move into a place that has a question of are you scared of dogs? When I was actually scared. I love dogs to pieces and can't understand the fear either, and I've been actually bitten, in the face, as a child. If you can't get over the fear enough to live in that place after the lie, you need therapy for a legitimate phobia. Good on you and the pupper though for doing everything you could to work with the RM to everyone's benefit, and even better on the pupper for being so lovable. Please give him extra pets from this Redditor. Give her a notice and kick her ass out. I can't since she is on the lease. She has to agree to termination. Believe me, I have tried. In the words of Dan Savage, dump the motherfucker already. You're going to have more issues with her later on down the line from the sounds of it. Not your FU, it's hers for lying and being a manipulative person. I wish we could dump her but she won't leave or agree to letting us off the lease either. We are looking for other places and just planning on paying rent at both places for the rest of this lease.